Hello, this is Sanjay with KMF Business Advisors. I hope you guys are doing great. So, I want to share with you something that working on this one listing. And if you are a seller, I want you to be aware of such situations because this will happen to you by the buyers. And if you are a buyer buying a business, then you really need to understand how secured you are in a transaction if you do one of these above. So let me get into this listing to tell you what's going on. And it's very interesting that we are going this way. And our job as business brokers is to educate our buyers and our sellers because most of the deals that we do are as transaction brokers. So most of the deals that we bring in are working both sides of the deal with the seller as well as the buyer. So let me give you a simple understanding of what's going on with this business. I listed this business about a week ago. So when I listed it, I got interest of three buyers. They just came like out of nowhere, like, I want to get this restaurant, especially because in this case the seller is highly motivated. It's a nice location, it's everything is good. They have 1100 plus Google reviews, so everything is excellent. The reason for the sale is the seller got it as an investment. Now, this is the wrong kind of business to invest in because this is actually one of the most toughest business to manage in the entire business industry is to do a restaurant. That's one of the toughest because it's like you are committed to it, man. It's like you don't even see your spouse more than you are committed in this restaurant industry. So moving forward, three customers came, uh, 4 days apart, and they all started going after this. So buyer, I'm going to represent as buyer number one, buyer number two, buyer number three. And I'm going to evaluate to you what each one of them follow through. So buyer one, number one goes, sign all three of them, they signed the non-disclosure. That's most important that you have to sign. Uh, the non-disclosure is basically to save you, to save the seller, and of course yours. But here's the thing. Buyer one, number one, decided to sign the NDA, but did not agree to sign the contract, but negotiated with the seller and said, listen, I'm not going to give you the contract signed now until I meet with the landlord, negotiate the lease terms, and then come back to you, do an inspection, and then present you an offer. But in this case, the buyer number one, he already presented their offer to the seller. This is word of mouth. Now, in India, a lot of people they negotiate the terms through word of mouth. It's very common over there. I am myself from India also, so I know how the system works over there. But we are in a different country. The laws are different. Word of mouth does not work. You know, everything in this country is writing. Okay, I know that because that's what I do for a living. Long story short, buyer number one. So he proposed an offer to the seller, went to the landlord. I went with him to the landlord. We negotiated the deal, comes back, and he has proposed an inspection, and we are waiting for the inspection date to move forward. Buyer number two came with a letter of intent. Okay, understand something. A letter of intent means it's an intention to buy the business. It is not a letter of commitment. The commitment happens when you are signing a contract. So that's the story of buyer number two. Letter of intent proposed to the seller. We are reviewing again, same process. We're negotiating with the seller. We're going to the landlord. That process is active. Uh, Buyer number three decided to follow the rules of how we work as business brokers. So Buyer number three approached, came, spoke with the seller. Of course, first thing, signed the NDA. Second thing, sat down with the seller, look at the restaurant, discuss the numbers. Next option, sign the contract. And now the following option is to meet the landlord in a couple of days next week and negotiate the terms of the lease. So, that scenario, that being said, who you think is the smartest of all the buyers? If you take my opinion, I would say buyer number one is smart, like very smart. But the reality is not being smart here. The reality is which buyer is more secured in terms of the contract moving forward. So if you ask my opinion, buyer number three is the highest and most secured because they're doing step by step. A letter of intent is just an intent to purchase. There is no commitment there. So let me tell you, letter of intent works in the business brokerage industry, especially when you're looking in the millions and millions of dollars of businesses. That's where letter of intent really, really works, but not in small deals like this because what the seller is looking for is a committed contract. And most business brokers, in my opinion, okay, I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, most business brokers and most sellers are not going to entertain anyone with the letter of intent because it is not a serious commitment. What is the difference between a letter of intent and a contract, asset purchase contract? The only difference is that the strategy is the same. Excuse me. The strategy is the same. The only difference is that in the contract, you are putting a promissory something in the escrow. So if you have a good broker behind you, don't worry. It's the broker's responsibilities to make sure that within your due diligence period, you have enough time to exit out if things don't go the way they're supposed to. And of course, save your escrow deposit. That's the only difference. So, that being said, buyer three here is in a very secured mode. So if tomorrow buyer number one's come back and buyer number two comes back and say, okay, let's move forward with the contract, the answer would be, I am sorry, we already are in contract and we gotta wait. We can only accept it as a backup offer. So my friends, if you are a buyer, avoid escaping the loopholes. Do what your business broker is proposing you to do. Move forward. They're responsible to make sure that the due diligence is met according to your needs and that your escrow is secured in case you have to exit out. And if there's a need to extend the extension of the due diligence period, that is also possible, but it needs to be negotiated between the buyer and the seller to move forward. Okay. So this is something that I just wanted to give you an update just to educate you guys. You know, sometimes we do this because we don't want you to lose money and we don't want you to lose a good deal when it's coming your way. Little bit about this restaurant. Seller is motivated to sell. He's in the IT business. He's in the IT industry. He thought about buying an investment here and an investment here. Long story short, he put his he put his hands in the wrong investment because this is serious stuff. The seller has put nearly more than $240,000 worth of upgrades in this restaurant, so it is highly important if you're interested. I mean, we have contracts, we have backup contracts, but if you ever wanna, get to know about this business or something similar or looking for any kind of restaurants, just let me know. Feel free to contact me or contact John. John is my broker. The numbers are there, and avoid making simple mistakes to secure your dream. All right. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sanjay Vadvani with KMF Business Advisors. Have a good day. Bye bye. And you can scan that QR code if you want to join our network. We have a lot of businesses for sale. We have many, many qualified buyers. We work with E2 visas, online businesses, whatever type of business you need, I can help you with it. All right. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.